guys, so today's 7 on Sunday. It's weird that I'm kind of really excited to talk about today's topic because we're going to be talking about some deaths that just hurt. Because there is times when you read books and there can be an unexpected death or a death that you saw coming, or just a time when someone dies and you just weren't prepared. And I feel like no matter what the death is, I'm never prepared for it unless it's a villain and I hope that they die. Because in general, most of the time villains seem to just like end and it's like, good. It's what you deserve, even though some villains are really fun to actually read about. I am excited for this one, but this is a very heavily spoiler-filled video. So basically, when you see the photo of the book that I'm going to mention, if you've read it, continue watching, but if not, skip to the next available photo, because I feel like that's the best way to go. Because I'm going to go full out. I'm going to tell you exactly why these deaths hurt me. And there's many deaths that affect me, but these 7 are for ones that just really made me feel pain when I read them. I'm excited. I'm starting out strong, and I have to mention Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare, and I'm sure that you all know that I'm going to mention Livy here because like it also feels very fresh because I just reread Lord of Shadows and then I've read Queen of Air and Darkness, which had the aftermath of how everyone felt about Livy dying, which was just pain. Because like when I first read this book like in 2017, I was so shocked and I just couldn't believe that this happened because a lot happened in that last like chapter or two. So having it that this mortal sword shattered, then Robert died, and then Annabelle stabbed her with the mortal sword fragment that was still not broken, and then Julian just knowing that he'd lost one of his children, and just everyone's pain, like there was so much pain. And then reading Queen of Air and Darkness, again having it fresh from like just finishing with her dying to seeing how everyone's reacting in the next possible second, and the pain that I felt, like it was just like, she's a 15-year-old child and she died, and it's obviously one of those things where it's like, of course someone in a big family is gonna die, but I just didn't want Livy to die because she was so connected to everyone. She was such a well-rounded and strong character, and it was just so painful. Like I still get choked up when I think about it, and it's just good that I'm never going to be able to watch an adaptation where she has to die, because I don't think I could do it. Next I want to talk about Blood and Honey by Shelby Mahurin, and of course this is for the death of Ansel, which I did not see coming. And it killed me. Like I honestly was so beyond shocked that I didn't want to keep reading the book. I didn't want to finish it because I couldn't believe that they killed this 16-year-old boy that was the most innocent and loving character in this story. He was the pure one, and they killed the child. And I get this was like, what's with killing the young ones that have so much potential? And the fact too that there was this underlying thing of someone close to Lou was gonna die, but I just thought it was gonna end up being something that they were able to save someone from. I thought it was gonna be Reed and then they had to do something to get him back or do something. And just in those final moments when they thought they'd won, and then Morgana comes out and puts a knife through the back of Ansel's head, it was just like a pin drop for me. Like I felt like someone I knew had died. And it's so sad reading Gods and Monsters because they keep mentioning him, and it's just like, the poor baby. Like it's just stress and pain, and I just didn't want it. So like like I miss him so much. Next we're going to be mentioning Crooked Kingdoms by Leigh Bardugo, and I want to talk about Matthias because at the time I feel like it affected me, but not that much. But I feel like as time has gone on and I've thought more about this series and characters that have been so important to me keep coming back into my life, and I see certain things, and especially with the show coming back, it really did hurt. And again, it is a situation of we've got 6 main characters. If they kill one, it's gonna hurt. A lot of books do it, but a lot of books don't do it. Like when you have your main cast of characters, there's always that fear that someone's gonna die, and they either kill a main or a secondary, but in this circumstance they killed a main. And it just hurts me too, because like Nina and Matthias were my favorite relationship in that book, and they really built up beautifully again, and then she lost him. And I'm not sure if I'm ready to read King of Scars because I know that she's still gonna be reeling from Matthias's death, and I'm just not keen. And especially if she's ever going to write that third Six of Crows book, like it's just not the same without the 6 of them, like our 6 main peeps. Like it's just not the same. Okay, next we're going to be talking about House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J Maas. Yannick definitely is an interesting situation because we knew that something bad was going to happen at the start of the book because there's something on the back about it, and it had a very like flashbacky feel to it. And also the interesting thing is like her death was bloody horrific, and I did not like reading about it, and it was so awful, but it wasn't actually her dying, but it was her being dead that was the main factor in the story that really pulled at your heartstrings. Like, there were so many times when Bryce was just so helpless and alone and she didn't have her best friend with her, and especially with the lighted up moment where Danica was there to get her through, like to help her like run. Like, it's such an emotional time. And honestly too, have you seen the new video that Starbit Cosplay has made? Like, I'll leave a link to it down below, but she made this whole like cosplay music video for House of Earth and Blood for the friendship between Bryce and Danica, which I highly recommend watching. I literally cried. I was so encompassed with feelings when I watched that video, so I felt like it was like a perfect time to then have this video to talk about it, because I feel like the feelings are fresh again. And I'm not sure how book 2 is going to go, because I still think Danica is going to be mentioned, but I do think that Bryce has turned a new leaf in like the level of grief that she's at. But it really did hurt. And also just a special mention to Lahibia, because she was my favorite little thingy. And she sacrificed herself and she was free, and then she just died, and like, it's just a special mention. It's because it's in the same book, it's fine. There were so many times that bad things were happening and I was just stressed. So for the fact that there's already been so much death, I am concerned for the next 3 books that are going to be in this series, because I don't want anyone to die. It's just painful. Next, I want to talk about Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. I have to say that the death of Brimstone actually really made me sad. Like, because he was basically Karu's parent. He raised her, he also saved her, and he was always there for her. And yes, he was tough and brutal with her sometimes, because he was just trying to make sure that she had everything that she needed to survive in the world. But when he died trying to protect her, it was so sad. But I feel like we didn't really feel the full impact of his death until the second book, when Karu was actually there talking about different things and thinking about him, and there was a moment when there was hope that something could happen, but then that hope was taken away and we couldn't have what we wanted exactly, but we still got like half of what we wanted. Like, I'm trying to be very vague because I don't really want to talk about the second book too much, but like having this father figure like die and Karu just not knowing how to deal with it because she didn't realize that he loved her, like, it was so like bittersweet. It was so sad. Like, I really don't know how I coped, honestly. Next, I want to talk about Falling Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes, because in the first book there was a death that really shocked me and totally changed the course of the book, or I would assume so, because I've only read the first one and I plan on rereading the first one and then trying to read the rest of the series. So I know that there is things that happen with a certain couple that happens later. But when Theon was just randomly killed by Magnus and Cleo was so shocked, I didn't know what to do. Like, I was reading it, I was doing it for readathon, just like trying to get through this book, and then he just got stabbed and died. And I was so just like astonished that this happened, because I was really keen about the whole princess and the guard love story. I think it's actually a really fun dynamic, because the guards always feel like they're inadequate, but then they fall in love with the princesses and they're like, I love you. Like, it's great. But just, I can't, because like I had such a sweet romance and it was going places, and then he just died out of nowhere. And I'm like, excuse me. Like, again, this was more shock than anything, but like it really hurt my soul. Like, I thought there was some really good romance going on there. This is why, like, I always go with what the author picks. Unless there's like some love triangles where I really love the other guy, but then I agree with the decision or whatnot. But like, I hate it when you like get attached and then some shit goes down, like they pick someone else or they die or something else happens that ruins it, and it just ruins the relationship for me, and it makes me really sad. And lastly, I want to talk about a book that I more recently read, and that was The Project by Courtney Summers. So throughout the whole time reading this book, I had the suspicion that B was dead. Like, I read the first couple of chapters, I was starting to get into the mystery, and I already felt vibes that this book wasn't going to be good. Why would you write a story if the Unity Project was actually okay? Like, we had to know some shit was going on here. But the book is told in dual perspective, so you've got Lo's point of view in the present and then B's point of view in the past as she catches up with Lo, and then B just seems to never be there. Like, she left a couple of months ago, she doesn't pick up the phone, she's doing a lot of different things, and then we find out all this different information about her, like she had a child and she had relationships with other people and she sort of stopped believing, and just different things were happening. And I just had the biggest suspicion that she wasn't alive anymore. But the only factor that was keeping me thinking that she was that Lo kept getting these phone calls and she could hear her voice. And I was like, how can she be dead but then she's not? But then she was dead, and it's just, oh, like, it was painful. And there was even this epilogue at the end of the book where she was sitting there and she saw her sister, and then she just like let her go past and didn't even grab her. Like, she could have survived if she was just like there, you know, for the situation. And it hurt so much. Like, even though I accepted that it was probably true that she was dead, when it actually got confirmed, I was like, I can't. So like, I don't even know who has read this book. Am I talking too in depth for this? But it's like, it's a spoiler. Like, I feel like even just saying the book has a death in it though is like gonna spoil something here, but like, it hurt, man, it hurt. The more I think about it, the more I realized I really did like it. And like, yes, Sadie would be my favorite out of the two, but this one was still really thought-provoking and really interesting. But like, the death was just like, again, it was like, I knew it was coming, but it still shocked me. So guys, that is all the books I want to talk about today. I definitely really do like all of these books, but it's just part of life, you know, people die, even though I don't want them to ever die. And this is the conflicting thing that I have though, is I always think that it's awful when characters die, and you always hate that it happens and you don't want them to die. But in general, authors don't go hard enough with the character deaths, because when people die, you feel emotions. When they all magically manage to survive and every other character dies, it's just like, you know, oh really? Like, our 6 main characters survive and every other secondary character dies, but they manage to make it. Like, it never makes sense to me. Like, I always feel a main character in every fantasy story needs to die just to get that level of impact. But then again, when it happens, I'm like, damn you, how could you do this to me? I have very conflicting feelings about it, but I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that no one gets spoiled, and again, like, if you just skip to the photos and then saw what books I was talking about and don't spoil yourself, it should be fine. But anyway guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!